What would you like people to take away from this discussion most of all?
I think while it's really important for the academics to try to address all of the various myths and rumors that exist in African publics, and that empirical evidence, that research-based evidence, really be disseminated and understood by African publics. I also think that there are clearly issues and problems with the ways in which China and all other actors engage in Africa, right? I mean, if Africa is inviting guests into your home and they misbehave, then clearly it is the African homeowners, if I continue the analogy, responsibility, right, to check that bad behavior, right? And I think here, this is where, African civil societies, African opposition parties, African media has a responsibility to really monitor all of those bad behaviors. And I think one of the things that has proven really effective with Chinese, at least with the Chinese government and the Chinese state-owned enterprises and the large private sector companies, is the power of media and social media. I think, as China continues to compete with the United States, the EU, to become a global power, issues around China's global image are incredibly important. And if China is seen to impact negatively on its partners, that makes a big deal. That is important. And I would argue that, perhaps even as debt trap myths are clearly false, land grab myths are false, these kinds of narratives force the Chinese to address them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would argue that, in addition to economic factors, that perhaps some of the criticism that they were receiving kind of from everyone around unsustainable debt in Africa has had some impact. And that could be one of the factors that was involved in the current slowdown of Belt and Road Initiative lending.
Mm-hmm.
So I would argue that African civil society has a very important part to play in all of this, and that we need to continue to monitor any sort of bad behavior, bad impacts, right, and continue to kind of talk about them publicly.